In this video, we will give you a brief overview of the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. HTTP forms the basis for communication on the World Wide Web. Since we will be developing full-stack web applications in Go, you should know the basics of this protocol. The Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP, is used by both web browsers and web servers to communicate with each other. An HTTP transaction consists of a request that's sent from the web browser to the web server as shown in this illustration. Once the web server accepts the request, the web server will return a corresponding response for the request. The web browser could either request a static resource or a dynamic resource from the web server. A static resource is a file. For example, it could be an HTML document, a JPEG image, a PDF document, or an MP4 movie that is being requested, and the web server will return that specified file in the response body. A dynamic resource is a resource that gets built by the server on the fly. An example of a dynamic resource could be a search engine search results page. Usually, the response body of a dynamic request will be formatted in HTML. HTTP is known as a stateless protocol because once the HTTP transaction ends, the connection between the browser and the server is terminated. The server does not retain any session information on a particular request. In this video, we are going to cover some basic HTTP methods for making requests. To learn even more about HTTP, I would recommend you to read the overview of HTTP article found on the Mozilla Developer Network website. The head method is used to get the response headers sent back from the web server and not the response body itself. Let's run the telnet program and get the header responses from the Google website. And here we can see the actual response headers that the Google web server returned to us. The get method is used for fetching static and dynamic resources from the web server. Get requests do not change the state of the server. The same request made later should return the same response. This makes GET request calls cacheable. GET requests also have a maximum length that's determined by the web browser's implementation of the protocol specification. Let's run the telnet program again, but this time let's use the GET method. And now we got back the HTML response from Google's web server. The POST method is used for updating data on the web server. Updating data implies that we are performing a mutating operation on the server. Examples of POST requests would be when you tweet on Twitter or post a status update on Facebook. Most likely in these cases, you are making a POST request to the web server. The POST data gets embedded into the request body of the post. Due to this, there is no maximum length for posts specified by the protocol. However, web servers can be configured to cap a post request to a couple megabytes. One of the most important messages that the server sends back to the client is the HTTP response code. Listed here are the most common response codes that are encountered with HTTP transactions. The 200 OK response code means everything is okay and all is well. The 304 not modified response code tells the client that nothing has been modified on the server and the client can hit up a local cache of the page if it has one. The 400 bad request response signifies that a malformed HTTP request is made to the server. The 403 forbidden response indicates that we don't have permission to access that particular resource on the web server. The 404 not found response indicates that the URL we used is incorrect and there is no static or dynamic resource available for the URL that we supplied. The 500 internal server error response indicates that something went wrong on the web server. In this video, we provided you with a brief introduction to the Hypertext Transfer Protocol